Day 11 of creating an RPG as an artist learning game dev. Today we continue to prototype the 3 bullet types you can equip in battle to shoot the mold spores. These are still super rough, but we're finally getting a feel for how these attacks are going to play out now that you can defend yourself. We've made it so you're able to swap between the default infinite bullets and the special ones. That way you can use them more sparingly. If you guys have any other fancy bullet ideas, let us know, and we cannot wait to design more attack cycles that require strategy. Day 12 of making an RPG as an artist learning game dev. We're currently updating the movement controls in the bullet hell segment of our turn-based combat and need your opinion on preferred controls. Right now, you can move to dodge incoming attacks with WASD or arrow keys, but we want to add a dash ability that lets you zoom through some attacks with invisibility frames, all anime style, and inspired by Celeste, so you can avoid taking damage. We're experimenting with key inputs and we think spacebar would be the best for a dash feature. If you have any suggestions, let us know. Day 13 of creating an RPG as an artist learning game dev. Today my programmer and I are working from home. After prototyping the ability to equip custom bullets and switch between the default ones, we realized our existing UI is a little outdated for these features. There's a lack of visual aid letting the player know when and what they have equipped to their ray gun, and that sort of info should be really easy to come by, especially if you're in battle. So I did some design tweaks to our battle UI and our inventory to make sure the player is informed on what they have equipped to which character. We won't know if these changes actually help until we get some playtesting done, so stay tuned. Day 14 of creating an RPG as an artist learning game dev. We've come up with some mold enemy designs, but we really need your feedback. We've done a bit of mold research and these designs are based off of real mold types. Which design stands out to you and why? Any suggestions? Let us know. We want battles to be as diverse as possible and your feedback can help us get there. Day 15 of creating an RPG as an artist learning game dev. Today my programmer and I did a full overhaul of our UI management. UI stands for user interface, and in games that includes the buttons, symbols, text boxes you might see in-game, as well as many more things. We have updated a lot of UI over the last few months, and to make it better to keep track of, we are compiling everything onto new sprite sheets to update our game. This can be a little tedious, but sometimes big redos and project cleanups are needed to be more efficient. Day 16 of creating an RPG as an artist learning game dev. Today is all about my programmer, who's recently overhauled the movements of mold attacks in our turn-based combat. I talked my programmer through the 12 principles of animation, and using a plugin called DoTween, he applied a ton of movement to the mold attacks to bring life to our battle scene. Now when the mold attacks the player, it feels so much more intentional, and it's all thanks to a few touches with animation. Just look at the difference. Tell me that isn't a glow up. Day 17 of creating an RPG as an artist learning game dev. So today marks a week before we finalise prototyping our first milestone for the battle system overhaul. This means it's all about rapid development, and we made a sprint checklist that we planned to have checked off by the end of the day. It was definitely a stretch, but we nearly got there. Now we have less to do before we actually start getting playtesters. Our next key milestone will be overhauling the mold attack rotations and creating more variety, as well as my favourite, designing entirely new mold enemies with personality and the whole 9 yards, which I am really looking forward to. Day 18 of creating an RPG as an artist learning game dev. Today was kind of a mixed bag. We're just preparing for our next big development milestone, new enemies, new dialogue, and new attack sequences. For now we are just working on simpler things, like polishing up the intro sequence in our battle mode, which required me making this amazing piece of work for my programmer to reference. Honestly, I think it's some of my best work, and I'd be happy to share more if you guys let me know. Game development is one of the only careers where playing a game can actually be part of your job, and that's exactly what we did today. To prep for our next development goal, we did a team play study, where we play some games that are inspirations or in our genre and analyse the experience. This time it was Deltarune by Toby Fox. Our next goal is to design a bunch of new enemies and attack sequences, so battle and enemy inspiration is exactly what we needed. Stay tuned to see our new mold enemies. It's day 20 of our Devlog series. To celebrate, let's reintroduce ourselves. Hi guys, we're Lamelli Studios, and I am an artist that's learning game dev from scratch by creating my dream sci-fi and food-themed RPG. Our game has turn-based combat with bullet hell-inspired gameplay, and in the last 20 days of our development, we added self-defense shooting, custom bullets, and dashing to our battle system to make battling or trying to save our enemies way more fun. Now we plan to add a bunch more enemies and a lot more features. So if you're interested in fantasy, lore-filled worlds, pixel graphics, and quirky enemies, stay tuned.